It's 22 minutes past 7 and big changes are coming for the checks that are made on food being brought into the UK.
Yes, at the moment, routine inspections take place on imports from outside the EU, but from October, because of Brexit, all food will need to be checked.
Our health correspondent Nikki Fox has been to the Port of Felixstowe in Suffolk to see how the inspection team is preparing.
The food on our plate isn't very local. Almost half is imported from outside the UK. The Port of Felixstowe is the largest of its kind in the country, handling 4 million containers a year. But who exactly makes sure what we eat is safe?
Usually we were between like 40 to 70 containers a day. Today we've got meat products, we've got this one from Thailand and this one as well, and then we've got one from China.
At the moment, the only products routinely checked are from outside the EU. Finding the food that's potentially dangerous could mean saving lives.
We've had some fish come in, some sea bream. They've been infected with like parasites, and they basically take over the fish's tongue. So like when they saw them, obviously it was quite a shock because it's the whole consignment. So obviously it's really important we're stopping it coming in to make sure that standards are being upheld.
The temperature of frozen meat is taken to make sure it's below -18. The team's veterinary surgeon, Demelis, even heats up some of the cooked chicken to check it isn't rotten.
Now we check the properties on the product, the smell, the texture and the taste.
Demelis is looking out for food infected by salmonella, and with pork, African swine fever is a risk.
Most of the illnesses come from animals. They pass from animals to people. If you have one of these big outbreaks, it's very, very bad for not only for economy, for people food.
Produce from the EU makes up 2/3 of food imports. The government delayed the introduction of checks after Brexit as it believed it could be a burden on business. But that won't be the case for much longer. The team here inspects 100,000 containers a year, but from October, they could be checking a lot more. That's when they finally start looking at EU food imports and the Brexit changes come into force.
I can see that one of my colleagues has asked you for ingredients, and that's just all that's outstanding for us, so we can just do the final checks.
In the operations room, they're preparing for an increase in work. The Port Health Authority is part of the local council, but it funds checks by charging importers a fee. The government hasn't told you yet what checks you're going to have to carry out on EU imports. How difficult does that make things when this is going live in October?
Puts me in quite a difficult position. Unknown figures are really difficult to deal with in terms of planning. Having a low level of checks means I might not need so many staff, whereas if they increase significantly, then obviously we need to turn things around in a timely manner and get the trade flowing through smoothly.
But it's not just about new inspections on food from inside the EU. As the government strikes trade deals with the rest of the world, increased checks could be needed. For example, we could import more chicken from Brazil.
As more and more markets open up across the world, we get more and more produce coming in, more exotic items and more exotic commodities. So we have to be really on our toes.
This team's becoming increasingly important now we're out of the EU. They're confident they'll continue to keep our meals safe without disruption to supply. Nikki Fox, BBC News.